Our Sunday morning cover story takes us from California to Cambridge, and it's reported by Serena Altschul.
Learn to ride a bicycle, Mark Twain once wrote. You will not regret it if you live.
Today's ride, we're riding out from Sonoma out to the California coast. Watch cars.
On a cool summer morning, a dozen bicyclists are living the good life on two wheels. Their backroads tour takes them through wine country.
There's really no better way to see a place really, really well than by biking.
You're presented with the smells and the sounds of nature.
For me, this is a very zen, relaxing thing.
Relaxing and refreshing.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to Matanzas Creek Winery. Where we're standing at right now is the white wine processing area.
Was Steinbeck around here?
Today's ride of about 40 miles is new for some.
I go to spin class.
I actually am not a big biker.
And for others, it's just another day.
We ride about 5,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
100 miles a week.
Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle.
I hope you're capturing all the terror in my face.
I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle.
All right.
A coast away at the bicycle riding school in Somerville, Massachusetts, a drama is unfolding as Sue Gezzi and 3 other students are about to take the saddle for the very first time.
I know. Isn't that a shock? I've never ridden before. I grew up in New York City, and I probably didn't see a bike until I was a teenager.
All you're going to do is follow the bike. Whichever way it leans, you turn. Okay? Give it a try. Some of them are noticeably timid, but most of them, you wouldn't imagine that they didn't know how to ride a bike. And all of them think they're the only one in the world. Yeah, nice turn.
Over the past 25 years, Susan McLucas has taught about 2,000 grown-ups to keep their balance.
Great one. I feel like I'm kind of doing half therapy, half bicycle riding teaching. Okay, okay. Wobble, wobble. Any old way, any old way. Wow, so good, Elvis. Yeah, cool. Woo-hoo, Imelda.
Teacher or therapist, Susan gets the same result.
Feels good. Feels very good.
And that's been the idea right from the start. Though the earliest versions of the bicycle back in the early 19th century weren't nearly as comfortable. Foot-powered, then pedaled on a big front wheel, the bicycle became the machine we know today by the 1880s.
It's a pretty extraordinary device.
Andy Clark is the president of the League of American Cyclists.
It led to all kinds of innovations that we take for granted, both in the bicycle world, but also in the world of the automobile. Suspension, pneumatic tires, gearing systems, braking, all of which really got their start with the bicycle.
It was also a social force.
What the bicycle offered was kind of liberation in terms of movement, the ability, an independent, affordable means of transportation.
Especially for women. Suffragette Susan B. Anthony wrote that the bicycle has done more to emancipate women than anything else in the world. She called it the freedom machine.
That's the van, and that was how I used to get around when I could afford to.
With gas prices at more than $4 a gallon, for some, the bicycle today is turning into a different kind of freedom machine. Not long ago, just down the road from the bicycle riding school, Julian Richards embarked on a first of his own as a bicycle commuter. By cycling to work each day, Julian estimates he could save up to $5,000 a year. So you're saving money.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, are there any other really noticeable benefits for you?
Absolutely. I don't mind telling you I've dropped 10 pounds in 2 months.
Are you exaggerating?
I'm not.
At Landry's Bicycles in Boston, they say it's becoming a familiar story. Manager Mark Vatour.
We've absolutely seen the price of gas affect bicycle sales. You know, at Landry's, we've seen bikes used for transportation, sales have increased 70%.
Bicycle stores across the country are reporting the same thing. Yet, nationally, fewer than 1% of Americans commute to work by bike. The problem for these new cyclists is where to ride safely. Boston, like hundreds of communities across the country, has miles of bike paths. Still, when it comes to cycling in the central city,
it's
challenging.
Definitely challenging.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that an inexperienced cyclist just dive into commuting in Boston traffic.
David Watson is the executive director of the Massachusetts Bicycle Coalition.
We're really at the very beginning of improving the infrastructure in Boston for cycling.
Several cities, like San Francisco, Chicago, and Minneapolis, are known for their bicycle facilities. But the one that's farthest down the road in making itself a bike-friendly city is Portland, Oregon.
How do you do, Stephen? Steven's taking his laundry by bike. Yeah. Stephen, you're citizen of the day. Faster, faster. How are you?
Mayor-elect Sam Adams is Portland's transportation commissioner. He'll soon preside over the country's biggest bicycling success story. Remember, less than 1% of Americans cycle for transportation. But here in Portland, that number reaches 6% and as high as 15% in some neighborhoods.
It'll hold 3 kids in the front in all seasons.
At Clever Cycles, Portlanders can even buy the bike equivalent of an SUV. How much weight can you put in here?
1,000 pounds, easy. Yeah.
Spend a little time in Portland and you'll soon be struck by not just the number of bikers, but their variety. You'll just wear your suit on your bike to work?
Yeah.
And you commuted today?
Absolutely.
And most every day?
Every day I can.
The mayor-elect, everyone here calls him Sam, rode to victory on a bicycle platform. He's probably posed with more bikes than babies. We took a ride with him to see what makes Portland different.
We've seen, nearly 150% increase in the last 10 years of trips made by bikes. Imagine all the smog we're not producing with these bike trips. Imagine all the health improvements.
15 years ago, Portland looked to European cities like Copenhagen and Amsterdam for inspiration, where more than a quarter of all trips are taken by bike.
We developed a bike plan. We developed a bikeway network.
Mia Birk was Portland's first bicycle coordinator. She says that behind the city's 300-mile bike network is a new philosophy.
Driving has been a part of our culture for 100 years now, and is such a predominant part of our culture that we don't even recognize it. It's just, people think, well, that's just the way we get around, that's just what we do.
We do it all year.
Portland has added the bicycle into the mix.
It's just the way we get around. It's just what we do. It's part of our culture here.
Here you go, little man.
Dan Kaufman has taken that message to heart. When this work-at-home dad needs to pick up his son from dance class, he puts his family on what he calls the bike train.
Okay, is everybody accounted for?
For a 12-mile ride.
All right.
And are there a lot of families like you guys that do this, that you're aware of?
Oh yeah, this is not a big deal.
How does your wife feel about the bike train and you guys being out on the road so much?
She wasn't too thrilled with it at first. And I definitely ride very defensively. I mean, this is my family here.
But even in this biking nirvana, accidents happen. Last October, Portland was jolted by the deaths of 2 cyclists. As a result of those deaths, Portland installed special pavement markings called green boxes at some city intersections.
The purpose of the green boxes, just like we are, put the bike in front of the car so they can't miss us.
We came over here to see a puppet show, and then we went out to lunch.
You see more and more people out here every day?
Most definitely, yeah.
And can other cities have what Portland has?
I'll just challenge your viewers to think about substituting 1 trip a week that they normally take by car, try it by bike. Try a short trip of one that's like 2 miles or less.
According to a recent federal study, that's 40% of all urban trips in America.
And see how much easier it is than you think it is. Just try it.
So, thinking of dusting off that bike? It is, after all, a Sunday in the summer.